teams have offenses that can score a lot of points. Union averaging 31.5 points per game, while Ridgeview and eye-popping 48 points per game.
I often refer to the weekend of the Coca-Cola 600, Indianapolis 500 as Racing Christmas. And much like children track Santa on Christmas Eve, race fans are going to be tracking Kyle Larson as he tries to make it from Indy qualifying to the All-Star race tonight. We've got the band back together. I'm joined by Casey Getz and Steve Wilmoth of ESPN Tri-Cities and TriCitiesSports.com. Welcome back to 2022, gentlemen. A lot of people might actually be surprised how big Bristol Motor Speedway actually is. There's plenty of room here for a baseball field. You can see I'm walking down the first baseline right now. The biggest challenge is going to be some of the other obstacles in the way.
They are the buzzwords of college athletics right now: NIL and transfer portal. But what do these buzzwords mean, and how do they affect local schools and local athletes?
In victory lane with night race winner Kyle Larson. Kyle, you were so good at Bristol, but for the longest time, you couldn't slam the door shut. You did it emphatically tonight. What's it feel like to dominate a race like that?
A message sent to us from the AES restaurant group states that Bristol, Tennessee school system rejected its proposal to continue the holiday tournament as it has been for the past 40 years. Two separate sources have told me that the spring race at the Bristol Motor Speedway is moving back to the month of April, most likely the weekend of April the 13th.
Friday nights are made for high school football, and tonight the Commonwealth of Virginia joins the fray under the Friday night lights. As always, we are keeping an eye on 5 big games this week, including the Friday night Rivals game that Casey has been previewing throughout the newscast. We're also watching a big Mountain 7 matchup in Big Stone Gap between Lehigh and Union. And here at Tennessee High, they will be hosting their longtime rival Sullivan East, a rivalry that was renewed last year with the Vikings getting a big win on the road at East. Tonight, they will unveil their refurbished stone castle here at Tennessee High. Should be an electric atmosphere. Now to what everyone will be talking about tomorrow. Early in the race, Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. fighting for a spot on the track. Stenhouse makes it 3 wide. Busch ends up in the wall. A short time later, Busch gets payback, putting Stenhouse in the wall. The 47 was out of the race, but Stenhouse can't leave because there's no crossover gate at North Wilkesboro. So when the race was over, Stenhouse decides to settle the score with Busch. A fight ensues, and the two go at it. Punches are thrown, and the crews even get into it for a little bit. When the two are finally separated, Stenhouse had a message for Busch.
I'll wreck here at Charlotte, because you're back there.
I don't give a
I can tell.
I suck just as bad as you.
I understand.
Let's go.
Carl Edwards recently learned that he would be added to the NASCAR Hall of Fame as a member of the class of 2025. Nicknamed Concrete Carl, he was a fan favorite, particularly here at Bristol. His performance at this track certainly helped pad his Hall of Fame resume careers. You can see 4 poles at Bristol and 4 career wins, and top 10s in nearly half of his 25 races at the last great Coliseum. Earlier today, I had a chance to have an exclusive one-on-one chat with the future Hall of Famer.
First and goal from the 1.
I think we know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, 1 or 2 guys are going to touch this ball.
We changed formation. This is the OT formation in the backfield. Watch for Chandler right here.
Yeah, and he just walks in for the touchdown. That's the kind of formation that gets us old school football players really fired up when you see them in the T formation there.
There are few tracks in the world like the Bristol Motor Speedway, nicknamed the last great Coliseum. It's a battle every time 36 cars hit the high banks. This weekend on this racetrack marks a changing of the guard for the NASCAR Xfinity Series as NASCAR stock car racing makes its debut on the CW network. Over the next half hour, we're going to introduce you to the sport, its stars, and its history. Starting with, what is the NASCAR Xfinity Series?
ETSU playing in their first Southern Conference Championship game since 2020 and trying to become the first school since 1939 to win 4 games in 4 days. The winner of this game will move on to the Southern Conference Championship game. The Bucks looking to knock off number 1 seeded Samford. Early on, the Bulldogs came barking. Jermaine Marshall off to a core for the bucket and 1. Samford would jump out to an 11-2 lead, but here come the Bucks. Kamari Peterson attacking the glass and finishing pushing for the tough two. Now all tied up. It's Peterson again. Between the legs, step back, and his triple goes down. The Bucks take their first lead of the game. Later on, the Bucks down 2 again. Alan Struthers drives and kicks out to Tyler Rice, delivering off the bench to give the Bucks a lead back. ETSU trailed by just 2 at the half. Second half, Sanford on the move as Jaden Campbell takes the pass and hits from beyond the arc. That puts the Bucks down 9, but here comes ETSU again. Bucks swinging around the arc, and Ebi Asamoah delivers from downtown, cuts the deficit to 5. Then it's Peterson with the lay-in. He has 17. Asamoah had 18 for the Bucks. Final minutes, Rylan Jones gets the pass, batted down, but finds it mid-air and finishes, and that's just kind of how the final stretch would go. ETSU's magical run ends, falling 76-69 in the title game.
Few athletes are instantly recognized by one name. Even fewer by one article of clothing. But then again, few are at the level of Richard Petty.
There's athletes in certain sports that do transcend, but you take them out of that context and people recognize him still, and that's the way he is.
He changed the sport not only in the generation when he was most successful, but every generation after.
Nicknamed the King by the media in the mid-60s,
Rather be called that and a lot of other things.
Petty and his family have been a part of the sport since its inception, with his father running the first NASCAR race 75 years ago.
I went to the very first race, Cup race that NASCAR had in 1949.
The Petty family accomplishments since then read like a guide to the biggest races and the biggest moments in the sport.
Some of his records that he has made, they're never going to be touched because of the amount of races we run, because of where we're at in the sport.
But for the King and his Petty court, the legacy is about so much more than what Richard has done on the track.
I did nothing by myself. There was always my dad or my brother, Dale Inman, our crew chief. I had the family around you. But then you had all these people that worked for us over the years. They're the ones that made it work.
It says 75 years of racing, you know what I mean? But I think when you look back, it's also 75 years of family.
Petty says the biggest legacy his family will leave behind is the Victory Junction Gang Camp. That's a camp for children with various illnesses. It was created in honor of Kyle's son, Adam, who was killed in a crash in New Hampshire in 2000. At the Daytona International Speedway, I'm Heather Williams.